Welcome back to Bizarre Bureau, where we peel back the layers of history to uncover its strangest secrets. Picture this: ancient Iraq over 2,000 years ago. In the dusty sands near Baghdad, a small, unassuming clay pot is unearthed. It looks simple enough, but inside it holds a mystery that could rewrite our understanding of ancient technology. A copper cylinder, an iron rod, and traces of an acidic liquid. Could this be a battery created centuries before Alessandro Volta, the man we credit with its invention? This is the story of the Baghdad Battery, and it challenges everything we thought we knew about the ancient world. Stick around, because this is one historical enigma you won't want to miss. So, what exactly is this object that has archaeologists and historians scratching their heads? Discovered in 1936 by German archaeologist Wilhelm Koenig near modern-day Baghdad, the artifact dates back to somewhere between 250 BC and 224 AD. It's a terracotta jar, about 5 inches tall. Inside, there's a sheet of copper rolled into a cylinder. This cylinder is sealed at the bottom with a copper disc and capped at the top with a plug of asphalt, or bitumen. And poking through that asphalt plug is an iron rod, suspended right in the center of the copper cylinder, but not touching it. At first glance, it might not seem like much. Koenig himself initially thought it was just a ritual vessel. But then he noticed something odd. The iron rod was heavily corroded, as if it had been exposed to an acidic substance for a very long time. He knew his basic science. An iron rod, a copper cylinder, and an acidic electrolyte like grape juice, vinegar, or even just salt water, all readily available back then. You put those three things together, and what do you get? A simple galvanic cell, a battery. Koenig published his theory in 1940, suggesting these ancient people had discovered a primitive form of electricity. The idea was shocking, to say the least. The scientific community largely dismissed it at the time. After all, the first modern battery wasn't created until 1800. Claiming that an ancient civilization had electricity was like saying they had smartphones. It just seemed impossible. But the pot, the copper, and the iron rod were real. And the question remained, if it wasn't a battery, what on earth was it? The plot thickened after World War II, when an American engineer named Willard Gray got wind of Koenig's theory. Intrigued, Gray decided to put it to the test. He built several replicas of the Baghdad Battery, using designs based on Koenig's descriptions. For his electrolyte, he chose grape juice, a substance widely available in ancient Mesopotamia. The result? His replica produced a small but steady electrical current, somewhere between 1 and 2 volts. It wasn't enough to power a light bulb, but it was undeniably electricity. This experiment sent ripples through the scientific and historical communities. Suddenly, the ancient battery theory wasn't so easy to dismiss. Shows like Mythbusters later replicated the experiment and got similar results. They even managed to connect several of these replica batteries in series to generate a higher voltage. The science was sound. The device, when filled with an electrolyte, absolutely could produce an electrical charge. The evidence was mounting. The Baghdad Battery worked. The question was no longer asterisk it be a battery, but was asterisk it a battery? What would an ancient civilization even do with a low voltage power source? This is where the theories get really fascinating. One of the most popular ideas is electroplating. This is the process of using an electrical current to coat one metal object with a thin layer of another, like plating a copper cup with a fine layer of gold or silver. Gold and silver were highly prized in the ancient world, and a cheap way to make objects look more valuable would have been a game changer for artisans. Proponents of this theory point to several supposedly electroplated artifacts from the era as proof. Imagine an ancient jeweler using a series of these small clay pot batteries to delicately apply a shimmering layer of gold onto a bronze statuette. It would have seemed like pure magic to the uninitiated. A few volts are all you need for this process, which fits perfectly with the battery's output. However, there's a big problem with this theory. While some artifacts look like they might be electroplated, archaeologists have analyzed them and found that most were likely gilded using a different, non-electrical method called fire gilding, which uses mercury. And crucially, no definitive, unquestionably electroplated objects from that time and place have ever been found. So the electroplating theory, while compelling, lacks concrete evidence. If not for gilding, what else? Another intriguing possibility is that the batteries were used for medical purposes, specifically a primitive form of electrotherapy. The ancient Greeks and Romans knew that certain fish, like the electric ray, could deliver a numbing shock. They even used these fish to treat pain from ailments like gout and headaches. Is it possible that the people of Mesopotamia developed their own artificial electric fish in a jar? A small, tingling shock from the battery could have been seen as having healing properties. Patients might hold two rods connected to the battery, feeling a slight buzz that they believed was driving out sickness or evil spirits. This would be a blend of science and ritual, something very common in ancient medicine. It's a plausible idea, but just like the electroplating theory, there's no direct historical record or definitive proof to back it up. So, if it wasn't for electroplating or medicine, perhaps the purpose was purely religious or ceremonial. Picture a priest in a darkened temple, surrounded by idols. He touches a metal statue, and a mysterious tingling sensation passes through his fingers. Or perhaps a tiny spark jumps in the dark. To the worshippers, this would be a direct sign from the gods. The battery could have been hidden inside statues or other religious objects to create these magical effects, reinforcing the power and mystery of the clergy. In this scenario, the battery isn't a tool for manufacturing or healing, but a device for creating awe and belief. This fits well with the discovery of the pots in the ruins of a Parthian settlement. But again, it's pure speculation. We have no text describing such practices. The lack of wires is also a major sticking point for all these electrical theories. If you're using electricity, you need conductors, and none have ever been found alongside these jars. This brings us to the more skeptical, and perhaps more likely explanation. What if the Baghdad Battery isn't a battery at all? Many archaeologists today believe the objects were simply storage vessels for sacred scrolls. Remember, the jars were found near an ancient city on a major trade route. Scribes wrote on papyrus or parchment, which would degrade over time. To protect these important texts, they might have rolled them up and stored them in clay jars for safekeeping. So, where does the battery part come in? According to this theory, a papyrus scroll would be wrapped around the iron rod. The copper cylinder would then be placed around it as an extra layer of protection, kind of like a protective case asterisk inside asterisk the jar. The asphalt plug would seal the whole thing from the elements. Over thousands of years, the organic scroll material would completely decompose, leaving behind only the metal and clay components we see today. The acidic residue? It could simply be the result of the decaying papyrus. This theory is elegant because it explains all the components of the battery without invoking lost high-tech knowledge. It explains why there are no wires and why we have no text mentioning electricity. The object looks like a battery by complete coincidence. So where does that leave us? On one hand, we have an object that, when assembled with an electrolyte, demonstrably produces electricity. We have plausible, though unproven, theories about how that electricity could have been used, from gilding to medicine to religious spectacle. On the other hand, we have a complete lack of supporting evidence. No wires, no user manuals, no definitively electroplated artifacts, and a much simpler, non-electrical explanation that fits the archaeological context. The mystery of the Baghdad Battery is the perfect example of how we should approach history. It's tempting to jump to exciting conclusions about lost technologies and ancient geniuses. The idea of ancient electricity is incredibly cool. But as good investigators, we have to look at all the evidence, and sometimes the most boring explanation is the most likely one. It's possible that the storage scroll theory is correct, and the resemblance to a battery is just a fantastic coincidence. But what do you think? Is it a case of mistaken identity? A simple storage jar misinterpreted by modern eyes? Or is it a genuine piece of lost technology? A clue that ancient civilizations were far more advanced than we give them credit for? Could there have been a secret guild of artisans or priests who knew the secrets of the magic pot? A secret that was eventually lost to time? The debate continues to rage, and until more definitive evidence is unearthed, the Baghdad Battery will remain one of history's most electrifying puzzles. Thank you for joining me here at the Bizarre Bureau. If you love digging into historical mysteries like this one, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss an investigation. Drop a comment below with your theory on the Baghdad Battery. Was it ancient power, or just a pot for a scroll? Until next time, stay curious.